My name is Sandy Adamitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Hey, writers and friends, it's Sandy. I'm coming to you from Studio City, the jewel of the San Fernando Valley, just over the hill from the mean streets of Hollywood. Writers, I'm pausing there because maybe I got to back up those mean streets of Hollywood, because as I record this, a creepy guy is pop-locking outside my window. I was momentarily concerned, thinking he was the same guy who came up on me and my two neighbors last Saturday, demanding that we talk to him. But it's not, and the show must go on. Let's get started. For a couple of weeks now, everyone in Hollywood has been asking the same question. Who is Joe Cota? I'll cut to the chase for you. Joe Cota is a Massachusetts-based high school teaching assistant who wrote a short story, and now actress-producer Sydney Sweeney, yes, that Sydney Sweeney, is turning that short story into a movie, with Sweeney starring and producing an Oscar winner, Eric Roth, currently writing the script. Get out of town. How did Hollywood even find Joe's short story? I'll give you a hint. It was not at a pitch meeting at Universal or Warner Brothers or Disney. Give up? Hollywood discovered Joe on Reddit. Yep, no Nepo baby here. Just a guy who posted a short story on a free website, and it's going to be a movie. Let's take a step back and break this all down, starting with, what is Reddit? It is spelled Reddit, as in Reddit. Did you read it? I read it. Reddit. How do you get to Reddit? Type reddit.com into your browser. Now, Reddit has been called the front page of the internet due to its popularity and wide range of topics. The way I can kind of wrap my head around what Reddit is I think of it as a big old message board from back in the day. It's not like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. People go there to read opinions on various subjects. You can vote up and down on a post, and a post is a question. And the more upvotes you get, the more your question is seen. For example, you could go on Reddit and you can type in, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done? Also on Reddit, you have AMA, stands for Ask Me Anything. And it refers to posts where a person or a group answers questions from the community in a live interactive format. So you can have a music producer or business person or a sports person, and you can ask them anything. The Writers Hangout is on Reddit, but I was immediately banned for life from a comedy forum. I put up a comedy meme that I made, and they thought it was self-promoting, and that was it. I realized, I didn't think it was self-promoting, but the thing on Reddit is you do not self-promote. If you want to be on Reddit, hang out, you got to kind of learn the rules. And I messed up there. That was it. And like Carrie Bradshaw, Shoe Girl, who wasn't very impressed with email at the beginning, I wasn't really impressed with Reddit, and I really haven't gone back. Now, if there are any Reddit experts out there that want to come on the pod and talk about the benefits of Reddit for writers, besides this whole entire story, send an email to the Writers Hangout podcast at gmail.com. Love for you to come on the podcast and talk about it. Now back to how Hollywood found Joe's story. Joe's short story got upvoted on Reddit a lot, and this caught the attention of manager Aaron Folby of underground entertainment. Aaron reached out to Joe for a meeting, and now Aaron reps Joe and will be a producer on the movie. According to the Daily Mail, the middle school teacher always had a knack for storytelling, even as a child, and he was lucky enough to explore it even further when his school gave him the opportunity to teach a creative writing elective during the pandemic. This inspired him to write, "I pretended to be a missing girl," and share it on Reddit as a fun outlet during lockdown. I guess we can put this story under the good things that happened because of the pandemic. What is Joe's short story about? I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl centers on a young woman who shows up at a family's doorstep 10 years after their 18-year-old daughter went missing. Her plan is to convince the family she is their missing child and stay just for one night, long enough to steal some valuables and get away. Okay, to review, there was a pandemic. Joe writes a short story. He uploads it to Reddit. It gets a lot of upvotes. This catches the attention of a manager, Aaron Folby of Underground Entertainment, and now it's being made into a movie. How cool is that, writers? What was your quarantine endeavor? Mine was adopting my cat, Sophie Joe, and I don't regret it for a minute. Joe told the Daily Mail, "It's surreal and it's so funny just having the night that I had yesterday. And then this morning, I've got to go in and write bathroom passes and get these kids to do their study guides." After this break, I'm going to read to you the first part of I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl by Joe Cota. This episode of the Writers Hangout is brought to you by Podcraft, the podcast for people who want to launch, grow, and monetize a successful podcast. Writers, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Do you even know where to start? If you said no, I was just like you back in 2022 when the Writers Hangout started. Now, why does 2022 ring a bell for you? Oh yeah, we were in a pandemic, which meant none of my incredibly talented friends could drop by and help me brainstorm what to do. I cried a lot of tears and frustration before that first episode was launched. Do you hear me, GarageBand? I wish I had Podcraft back then. Podcraft takes you from novice podcaster to confident broadcaster. They'll teach you how to start and grow a successful podcast in their easy-to-follow sessions. You can find Podcraft at podcraft.net or anywhere you get your podcasts. Back to the show. I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl so I could rob her family by Joe Cota. Michaela Murray went missing 12 years ago on the eve of her 18th birthday. She didn't have any big plans or anything, but her friends describe her as having been in a good mood for what was otherwise a perfectly normal Friday. She'd gone to school, soccer, work, and then came home for a night of Disney movies with her kid brother James. He'd been more excited for her birthday than she was. He wanted to stay awake with her until midnight, but of course had fallen asleep right away. He woke in the middle of the night to her headlights shining through his window. He watched as they rushed down the country road they lived off of, not knowing that was the last time he would ever see of her. The poor kid was only 5, and he would be forever tormented over why'd she'd leave him like that, or why'd she'd never come back. It wasn't until the sun came up on that cold Saturday morning that anyone realized something was wrong. Her parents entered her room to wish her a happy birthday, only to find her bed empty, car gone, and phone off. They started their rounds of calls to Michaela's friends, but nobody had seen or heard from her. Panic really started to set in when Michaela's car was found abandoned on the side of a heavily wooded road. pulled off to the side and facing in the wrong direction, practically in the middle of nowhere. There were no hiking trails or anything like that, nor were there any signs of a struggle or any evidence of where she might have gone next, until Michaela's friends followed the road on a map. You see, Michaela had a boyfriend, Tom. He was a year older, and he had gone off to college. He'd been trying to get Michaela to come visit him, but her parents just wouldn't allow it. But if they had, this was the road she would have taken to get there. So while Linda Murray filed the missing persons report, Paul Murray sped up that road all the way to Tom's university. Tom swore to him, and later the investigators, that he'd been in his room studying that night. His roommate confirmed seeing him early that evening, but then left to go to a party where he then spent the night. The police looked deeper into Tom and found strands of Michaela's hair in his car. This didn't prove much, but it spooked Tom enough into changing his story a bit and admitting to have seen Michaela more recently than he said, that he'd picked her up late the weekend prior to the midnight drive. This sounded precisely like what happened the night she'd gone missing, but police found nothing to substantiate it. Tom was eventually cleared as a suspect, but the Murrays never let it go. They were certain he was involved in her disappearance. So certain that Paul Murray spent several nights sitting outside Tom's door, waiting to catch his daughter going in or out. Tom's family ended up taking legal action, which was the end of that. It wasn't long before the case went cold. The dark weeks and months passed without any further updates. The people in Michaela's life were left with this dark cloud of uncertainty, wondering what happened to her, if she was out there somewhere. And she was. She was about to return home after more than a decade, because I'm Michaela Murphy, and I ran away that night to start a new life. At least that's what I told the Murrays. I have no idea what happened to that girl. You think I'm awful? That's fine. I don't disagree. I'm not proud of what I did. I was desperate, homeless, and on the run, smoking a pack a day just to function. I owed a lot of money to the wrong people for some other things that I'm not really proud of. I was stuck and I needed a plan. I don't want to spoil the ending, but you can find the rest of the story on Reddit. Just type in the title, I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl, and Reddit. The first thing that jumped out at me when I was reading this short story is the name Michaela Murray, because Murray is the last name of a very famous missing woman named Maura Murray. This is a true story. And I have gone down many a rabbit hole regarding Maura Murray. I have spent countless hours listening to podcasts about her, and I still think about her. I still think about Maura. Now, there's tons of information out there on Maura, but here are the cliff notes. Maura Murray was a 21-year-old nursing student completing her junior year at Amherst when she disappeared on the evening February 9th, 2004, after a car crash on Route 112 near Woodsville, New Hampshire. Her whereabouts remain unknown. Also, this project is being compared to Gone Girl, a psychological thriller directed by David Seven Fincher and was written by Gillian Flynn, based on her 2012 novel of the same name. It stars Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, and Tyler Perry. In the film, Nick Dunn, played by Ben Affleck, becomes the prime suspect in the sudden disappearance of his wife, Amy, played by Rosamund Pike. Now, I read Gone Girl while working on a TV show. The writer's PA, Juliana Romano, who is now a successful YA novelist, was reading it, and I could tell she was really into it. And so I read it, and I remember reading the twist late at night in bed, and I did not see it coming. When I read Joe's short story of the missing girl, I thought about the movie and the play 6 Degrees of Separation. The title refers to a statistical theory stating that any two individuals in the world can be connected through just 6 others. We know it as the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So here is my 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Actually, I have 2 because I don't know if the first one is the way you play the game. Number 1, Kevin was in a movie with Elizabeth McGovern called She's Having a Baby. Elizabeth McGovern liked a tweet of mine. Is that 2 degrees of separation for me? I don't know if the tweet counts in this game. So let me try it again. Kevin was in a movie called Diner with Mickey Rourke. That's 1. Kevin was in a movie called Diner with Mickey Rourke. 2, Mickey Rourke is a friend of Ryan Adams, a producer turned preacher. 3, I'm friends with Ryan Adams. So I am 3 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. There you go. Here's the plot of 6 Degrees of Separation. A blood-soaked young man, played by Will Smith, shows up at the doorstep of a wealthy white New York couple, Donald Sutherland and Stockyard Channing. Is it just me, or is Stockyard the most unusual name for a person? Now, I'm sure it has a incredible history, that name Stockyard, but Stockyard to me is a stockyard filled with animals on the way to slaughter. Oh, Stockyard, I love ya. Okay, back to the story. Will shows up on the doorstep of Donald and Stockyard's apartment in New York City. He claims to be the son of Sidney Portier and a friend of their Ivy League children. It came out in 1993, written by John Guari and directed by Fred Shepsey. Fred, I think I just really made a mess of your name. My apologies. I was fortunate enough to see 6 Degrees on Broadway. So maybe that's why I quickly jumped to 6 Degrees instead of Gone Girl. And honestly, Gone Girl is a much better reference if you're pitching this movie. Okay, writers and friends, the moral of this story is if you want something, put yourself out there. It doesn't have to always be perfect. Now, that's a tough one for you. I know, because that's a tough one for me. Because honestly, this short story, did it knock my socks off? Not really, but this is what Joe did do. Joe came up with a short story. He thought about it. He wrote it down. He uploaded it to Reddit. It resonated with the public. Missing women. And this is what is so important. He gave it his own spin. It can be that simple. I'm not even sure the name Murray was intentional, but I like to think Joe was paying homage to Maura. Maura, if you're alive and you just somehow happen to be listening to this podcast, get home soon.
And that's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your positive feedback will help us keep the show going so we can continue bringing you more future episodes. Remember, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards with executive producer Kristen Overn, producers Sandy Adamitis, and myself, Terry Sampson. And our music is composed by Ethan Stoller.